Hello and welcome to the Empowered Couples Podcast, where here you get modern, non-boring relationship advice for you and your partner to communicate like pros, fight smarter, and stay on the same team no matter the challenge that you face. I am one of your hosts, Aaron Freeman.
And I'm Jocelyn Freeman, but you all just know us as the Freemans.
And this episode is about the love account principle, one of the most critical actions that's easily forgotten as you get busy and are together for years.
And when you hear love account, it can almost even sound a little bit maybe cheesy, but stick with us because when we share this principle with couples, they're like, this literally makes so much sense to the experience that we've been having lately in our relationship.
And a part of that is because it is subjective, right? This is not something that's purely objective. And this love account is an emotional feeling of being connected to your partner.
And some like loved by them too, right? Mm-hmm. Like, do I feel loved by you and do I feel connected to you? And we like to say, kind of score yourself on a scale of 0 to 100 in terms of how high your love account is right now. And it really is almost a moment to moment thing because we're going to get into how I kind of want to give them like the main one-liner here, if that's okay.
Oh, wait a second. I've been getting a little bit early
all right.
there.
I mean, because there's like a moment where it's
I want to really talk about this. For those that this is new, it's like, okay, it's a new term, but it makes sense. But just like, unless you have a Tesla or electric car, that is, just like your car, you have to fill that tank with gas frequently. Mm-hmm. You don't fill the tank with gas once and then just expect that your car continues to run. That's one of the main things here about this subjective emotional feeling of this love account is that it has to be filled, or as we're going to term, deposited into, because it runs down, then you fill it up, or when you have awareness, you can keep it high, right? Mm-hmm. Because, Jocelyn, talk a little bit about, first of all, you could have the same scenario happen, but your experience of it and your partner will be different based on the level of your love account.
Exactly. So let's say you're having a day and the two of you are a little bit stressed and rushed and you are making little remarks to each other. Well, if your love account is high, you are probably going to be easier to forgive, right? Like kind of let it roll off your back. All right, we're just having a blip here. Move on, let it go. If your love account is low, there's more of an intolerance to it, a reactiveness, a defensiveness. Things would escalate faster and higher.
I think you're on edge.
Yeah, you're more on edge. Like I can feel a distinct difference in our relationship to when our love account is low. And sometimes we don't realize it till after the fact of like, why have we been more sensitive to each other, a little bit more reactive? Oh, my love account's low right now, which we're going to talk about what either fills it or withdrawals from it. And then also on the flip side, when I'm feeling like we're more playful, joyful, connected, I'm like, oh, it's because the love account is high. Mm-hmm. We've been making these deposits.
Let me give the one other analogy, though the gas tank is good initially. On our sessions, I always talk about the bank account. Mm-hmm. And this really gets the analogy for the experience. So maybe you haven't been here in a while, but think about your bank account and it has some level of overdraft limit. Now, if your bank account was hovering, say, $100 over that overdraft limit, you're going to be very, very focused on what you spend on. You're going to feel nervous. You're going to feel on edge. You're going to have anxiety because any little thing is going to put you over. If you have $1 million in your bank account and you're nowhere even remotely close to that overdraft limit, you're not even going to be paying attention. You're going to be out there spending, experiencing, giving, sharing. You're going to feel so much more freedom and you're not going to be as focused on it. So you're not at that level of anxiety. And that's exactly how this feeling of the love account is. When it's lower, you're automatically going to be more on edge, more anxious and stressed around each other. So you can be more reactive, more reactive. The funny thing about that is you start to lower it more. You might hit some emotional triggers. And then like you always talk about, when the account is low, guess what else?
there's a lot. What else?
Oh, yeah. You're not going to want to deposit into their account. So literally gets into a negative feedback loop because the thing you need to do when it's low is deposit into it. But the last thing you want to do is to actually show your partner love.
Exactly.
The thing that would get you out is the last thing you want to do. And that's real. Hello for everyone. That's real.
Really check that out for yourself. And before we go into okay, Freemans, I'm with this love account analogy. I want to know what are deposits and withdrawals. Really check out right now. Ask yourself, how high is my love account on a scale of 0 to 100? And then think about your partner. And obviously, it'd be even better if you ask them today, how high is your love account? And then connect it based on your score to how you've been interacting with each other and whether you are feeling connected, you're feeling loved, things have been joyful, or if your score is lower, realize, oh, maybe that's partially connected to our conflicts and that our defensiveness and that we're, just feeling disconnected. Like connect those scores to your experience of the relationship right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to let you unleash on
the one-liner.
The one line, the hashtag, the Instagram post. But before I let you unleash yourself, because everyone listening, you have to think of this more on the interaction level, because as we talk about this, everyone thinks they know, oh, this is about love languages and I know my love language. But no, love languages, it gets you there. It gets you in the ballpark. Love languages are types of deposits you can make, but it's just barely scratching the surface and it goes much more deeper.
Oh, absolutely. And I actually want to say one more thing before this one-liner, which everyone's going to be like, let's hear this one-liner. But actually, here's what's interesting. People will think, okay, we're disconnected, love account's low, we just need a vacation. Or I just am going to plan a nice dinner date for us. Or I'm going to do a big birthday party for them. That's not going to cut it. And you say this a lot with the analogy too. If you go to your bank once a year and withdraw, $10,000 or deposit $10,000, that's not as great as going every single day and depositing
$1,000.
Yeah, exactly. And so it can't be just this reliance on big deposits once in a while. It's much more about the small daily things that are going to add up and sustain it. So
all right, hit 'em
I'm quoting you. This is actually your quote. Erin says this on coaching sessions. Every interaction with your partner is either a deposit or a withdrawal from your love account. Every interaction. Do you want to elaborate on that since that's your quote?
Well, you really have to start to think about all the interactions and possible interactions you have throughout an entire day. And it might sound like a lot. Some of you listening might actually, when we say that, realize you're not actually interacting with your partner that much. Or for the number of opportunities that are available for you to actually interact with them, you're not actually taking that opportunity to do so. So when you start to think about it from this level, all the possible interactions, and really start to look at, in these interactions, am I making a deposit, being a positive interaction with my partner, or am I making a withdrawal here from their account in a type of negative interaction? And this gets so micro, way beyond gifts and acts of service.
And your once a week date night. It's like, no, what about the morning time with each other? What about when you get home? What about that little moment as you're walking by in the hallway or you're cooking dinner?
That's right. So think about that. Your partner walks by you in the hallway in your home. There's opportunity. Do you just walk past them, or do you pat them on the butt? Do you let your hand run down their back? Do you wink at them? Do you grab their attention? A lot of this is really about, are you taking the opportunities to grab their attention and even have them feel seen and acknowledged? It's as simple as that.
Well, and you just gave some examples of the importance of deposits, which for all of you, it's easier to think about the deposits as in, okay, yeah, I could do some physical touch, because again, love languages are examples of types of deposits you can make, but think about even smaller. Like literally it's putting your phone down and being present with them while they're making dinner instead of just scrolling. Like that's a deposit. It's they ask you a question and instead of just being like, yeah, it was okay, you actually engage with them and ask them questions and you start a great dialogue. It is really the micro moments. Now, I want to emphasize actually more so the withdrawals.
Right.
Because again, it's easier to be like, okay, Freemans, we're going to make more deposits. I'm going to look for those opportunities to deposit some love in their account. But I want to call some of us out, including myself sometimes.
Get hyped here.
You got to check out the little mini withdrawals you make that you think aren't that big of a deal. They're just a subtle little remark, subtle little jab. Just that thing that you think is small. Oh, I'm just saying this, but it's really kind of a little passive aggressive remark, or it's a little dig, it's a little criticism. Like here's an example actually. We talk to couples all day long, so we get such juicy stuff. But there was this laundry basket example that a couple gave. And, they're not together a lot. They have a toddler and they work hard. They're just busy people. And the small few moments that they had together in the evening, there was this little remark made about where the laundry basket is. They are only having a few minutes together before bed. And it's just like, oh, really? Gonna leave the laundry basket there? Right. Little withdrawal.
That's right. You really have to think about this because, as you mentioned, Jocelyn, the positive side of it is, oh, I made 3 deposits today. Like, okay, great. And I do acknowledge that maybe part of this is you're not counting the micro level things, but this is frequent when we talk to couples. Even when we share this principle with them, we actually have them track themselves over 7 days to see how many deposits versus how many withdrawals and what's your net here. Because we'll talk to couples that would say, oh, we increased our deposits to, it was like 5 over the last 3 days. I'm like, oh, really? Because you had 100 or more interactions with them. So that means you had, 95 withdrawals? And I'm just kind of making up numbers here. But when you say, oh, I had 5 deposits, okay, but what's your net here? If every interaction is a deposit or withdrawal, are you negative 50 for the day?
Yeah.
Because there's so many opportunities.
Yes.
So it's so much more than these deposits, these love accounts, these love languages. It really is looking at, oh my gosh, I'm making a lot of micro withdrawals.
Yeah, and it's easy to not be aware of them until hopefully hearing this episode. Like we want you to actually bring attention to each little interaction. And I'm talking about when they walk in the door, or when you're about to lay down to go to bed, or you're texting with them. Do your texts have a little passive aggressive energy in them, or are they making deposits? I want you to really look at all those micro interactions and ask yourself, did I just make a deposit or was that a withdrawal? And obviously we could talk about this for a while here about some other things to do, but really check it out. Your experience of your relationship is connected to not only how many deposits you're making each day, but also looking at the withdrawals and really connect it and take responsibility for those simple withdrawals. And I'm saying this because I'm needing to hear this too. I've had to check myself. I've been making a few little withdrawals I don't need to be making. And so I got to double down on more deposits. So this is a reminder for me and for you.
It's such a big topic. We even cover this in our book, The Argument Hangover. And it's also why we talk so much about assertiveness. Yes. I just wanted to say this too, because that's the difference. Assertiveness, as you've heard us say a few times now, because we really have been hitting on this, it's not just talking and it's not just expressing yourself. Because you can express yourself as a deposit and you can express yourself as a withdrawal.
That's true.
And the assertiveness that we're talking about is the ability to express your feelings and ask for what you want that's set up as a deposit not as you expressing your complaints and telling your partner what you're not liking about what they're doing and criticizing and nitpicking. Oh, I'm assertive? Oh, really? Because every time you open your mouth, it's a withdrawal.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I was just saying, not for anyone listening specifically, but
none of you listening.
I just wanted to get real about that because just because you think that you're expressive, that's not really showing that you're paying attention to, is my expressiveness a withdrawal or an actual deposit?
That's so good. Yeah. Well, and since you mentioned the argument hangover, when you're listening to this episode, we're super close to Baby Freeman coming. And you could give me /us a free baby shower gift by writing a review for the book. My dream is to have 25 more reviews before she comes. And if you've read, whether it's one chapter or the whole book, please go to the platform in which you purchased it, whether that's Amazon, Barnes & Noble, etc., and just take 30 seconds out of your day to write a review. And it can be 1 sentence, it can be 4, it doesn't matter. But literally, for us as content creators, that is like the lifeblood of our business. And if you take away any value from these podcasts, it would mean so much. So please go to the platform where you purchased and write that review. It would mean so much and be like our baby shower gift from you all. With that said, we really hope you enjoyed today's episode on the love account principle. Really take on our offering, our invitation to watch your withdrawals, make more deposits, be aware of the love account and how important it is to your connection, and also preventing some of that reactivity and sensitivity to each other. So we love you all, and we will talk to you on the next episode.